With that one change that we all acknowledge, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second,
I'll second.
all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, moving on to the approval of the 12/8/2020 meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review them? Are there any questions about them? Changes? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve these minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from 12/8/2020.
First, do a second.
Second.
Misty's second. Further discussion? All those in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. I don't think we have anybody here. Tim, you're here for a specific item, correct? Okay, we'll move on from public comments. New business, consider recommendation on request for approval of a final plat for Williams Terrace Plat 1. Charlie?
Yeah, going over this one real quick, the commission will probably recall last, I believe it was April, we reviewed a rezoning for this development. This proposal here, 2-lot subdivision that is going to essentially split the area that we rezoned to R4 multiple family residential off from the rest of the ground, and then the rest of the balance of that, which will be lot 2 in the M2 general industrial zoning district, will remain again on that second lot. There is a proposed 3-story 50-unit multifamily independent living senior community that is proposed for lot 1. At this point in time, there is nothing proposed for lot 2. Noted that here is all the public improvements have been put in for this subdivision, including roads, utilities, and all of that. A preliminary plat was not required. We've gone through with the applicant on this one after the initial submittal, had a few changes on there. 2 of the changes included adding 2 easements on there, 140 by 350 foot stormwater easement that'll be used for the outflow of stormwater from an intake that's located on North 9th. And then a 15-foot trail easement along the south property line. You may recall that there was a development that was proposed south of here where we asked for the same thing on that north property line. The future Indianola Trail plan does show a trail going through that area. So we're attempting to just get equal easement on both sides of the property line for that. After we had published this staff report, the applicant did also identify that there was an existing storm sewer easement that was located on there, and right off the top of my head, I can't remember the size, but it was much, about 40 feet wide, and I think it went for most of the southern property line there. At this time, we're still proposing to go along with the 30-foot wide storm sewer easement, or excuse me, the 40-foot storm sewer easement that we have proposed, and then at some point in the future, we will go through the actual vacation process of that existing storm sewer easement that is existing at this point. So this request does also include a waiver to the width to depth ratio. As the applicant has noted, the proposed dimensions were the best option for them to gain control of the ground that's needed and to position this site to serve as a buffer from the industrial zoning to the north and the residential zoning to the south. So because of that, staff would recommend that waiver gets approved. We are also recommending alternative 2, that the final plat be approved with the condition of approval of the waiver, and the second condition that the city council review this item once staff has had a chance to review the easement documentation for the stormwater and trail easements. So if there are any additional questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
And I'll just add really quickly, I'm the listing broker on this piece of ground, so I'll recuse myself.
Can we still vote on this,
Yeah.
Charlie?
Yeah, Aaron jumped on, so
Okay. Aaron's here.
I just checked that.
Good. Did we get any comment from the public?
No,
from
so-
the letters from property owners?
Yep, let me kind of go just because I know with the catering proposal that was just south of this, we did have a lot of public on that one. So the 200-foot notification did not go past the catering property, so that neighborhood was not notified by mail. However, through the rezoning process, if you'll recall, we did ask the applicant to provide for a neighborhood meeting where that neighborhood was involved and was notified. We had, gosh, it was about 15 neighbors who attended that meeting. And for the most part, I don't want to speak on behalf of the neighborhood by any means, but the reception to this development was much more positively than the one that was reviewed last year.
You're talking about the meeting at the Y?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're a little strong with 15.
Yeah. It wasn't too many.
I
know
think
that,
there were
so.
fewer than that, really.
I know it was like 2 days before
Yeah.
COVID really took off. So, and I believe the applicant is on the Zoom call here too, Susan. I don't know if Susan, you want to add anything to that or not?
Yeah, I think you described it pretty well, but I can answer any questions. The easement that we found, that is actually a 50-foot wide easement along the south property line of lot 1, so which will vacate.
Perfect. Does anybody have any questions for Susan? Does anybody have any questions at all in general? If not, I would entertain a motion on this item. You guys are gonna be busy tonight. There's not many of us for the motion.
I would, okay, I'll move that we recommend alternative 2, approval with alternative 2, recommending that the final plat be approved with the following conditions. The waiver requested on the lot size, width, depth, size variance be okayed, and that the city council review the recommendation after the staff has reviewed the easement documentation for the stormwater and trail easement.
Well, we have the first, we have the second.
I'll second that.
All right, any further comments, questions? All right, Courtney,
Al Ferris,
Yes.
Aaron Freeberg,
Yes.
Becky Needle. Yes. Bob Ormsby,
Yes.
Jeremy, Josh Ray.
yes. Perfect, thank you guys. Item 6B, consider recommendation on request for approval of a plat of survey for Terra Tender Inc. located within 2 miles of the city of Indianola. Charlie?
I won't go into this one too much in depth. This is in an area that is just on the edge of our 2-mile extraterritorial review area. As noted in the staff report, it's an 80-acre tract where they're proposing to split off 8 parcels for what the applicant noted would be future residential lots. The comprehensive plan does call for this area as agricultural, as it is not within a growth area of the city. As such, staff was recommending alternative 1, approving the plat of survey request. We did get one comment on this yesterday from a member of the public. And one second, because I just want to make sure that I have the right one here before. Probably I should have had this up beforehand, but it was from a Michael Gipple, and the comment, and I'll read it here. It says, "It's my understanding that in an agricultural location, all individual lots sold shall be a minimum of 5 acres. The lot sizes in this plan proposal appear to be 2-acre plots. If this area is zoned ag, please abide by the 5-acre restriction. Thank you." I did email Mr. Gipple back and just kind of explain that since this is not within the city, we don't have zoning jurisdiction over it, just a subdivision review jurisdiction. And ultimately the county would be the one who had the zoning jurisdiction over it. Did also talk to the Warren County Zoning Office about this one last week as well. I know they're continuing to work with the applicant on it, and haven't got quite to the point yet where they're approving it. But again, what I had stressed to the county, and I think what the commission has done in the past, is really we're not too worried in this area on what gets split out or how it looks. as it's not within a growth priority area. So I still think it is appropriate if the commission wants to recommend approval of this. So with that, I'd answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Charlie on this one? Hearing that, I'd entertain a motion on this one.
I recommend that the city of Indianola, planning and zoning, approve the plat survey request as submitted.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second. Okay, we have a first and a second. Any further questions? Comment? Courtney?
Karen Krueger,
Yes.
Becky Needles, yes. Bob Ormsby,
Yes.
Dr. Abe,
Yes.
Lucy Solowit,
Yes.
and Al Ferris.
Yes.
Okay, agenda item 6C, consider recommendation on renaming of R63 highway within the Indianola city limits. Charlie.
I know that this is an item that has come before the Planning and Zoning Commission in the past, prior to my being here. So if anybody wants to jump in, if I'm misstating anything that was said previously, let me know. But on the second council meeting in November of 2020, they did direct staff to look into an issue that is taking place out here on R63 highway. There are 2 single-family dwellings south of Highway 92, and then the Catholic Church north of 92 are the only 3 addresses that actually use R63 highway as the street name in their addresses. Those properties are all located inside the city limits of Indianola. The issue that some are running into is that when you attempt to put that in GPS or delivery drivers delivering packages, they are not getting brought to the right place because you're using a 3 or 4 digit city address on a county named road, and that can sometimes throw those GPS things off. So we looked into it. We talked to both the fire chief and the police chief to kind of see if there was anything we needed to worry about as far as naming conventions. A lot of people look at this and, as we, in this side of town, when we go from east to west, we, go B Street, C Street, D Street, at this point, all the way down to Y Street. With that, there's only one letter left in the alphabet, and that's Z. And Y Street's about a half a mile, maybe a little bit more away from this location. And when you have those street names every block, blocks typically aren't that long. So Z Street really wasn't an option for this one, just because that limits what we can do in between those 2 roads. So we really needed to look at something a little bit different, more unique. The one thing we did point out in here was with the comprehensive plan, not really planning on too much residential growth past R63 to the west. There's just a little bit of commercial growth along 92. We didn't think that it was necessary to create a new naming convention on this side of town, and it's something that we can maybe look at more unique names when roads come up. So with that, we kind of threw out a few options on there, and I think the one that rose to top between staff and then a few of the people that we talked to was Wesley Street, and that being because this intersection there at 92 and R63 is commonly referred to as the Wesley Corner. The subdivision that is down there at the southwest side is the Wesley Corner subdivision. So I think there's some precedent set there. And then obviously the Wesley Woods Campground is just a little bit south of this location. So we're looking at it at a stretch. So typically with the city, the roads go from south whatever to north whatever at about where First Avenue is. Obviously First Avenue here doesn't go into this area, so we have to kind of guess where that area is, but that's the area that we're really looking at. So because of that, our recommendation is to rename the road to South Wesley Street. I think that would probably be a good alternative and hopefully kind of fix some of the issues that are taking place out there. We did talk with the Catholic Church too, because I know that's kind of one of the bigger users. They've got a lot of things that they have to change, and they really weren't too worried about a road name change potentially affecting them at all. So Just wanted to point out that we did have a conversation with them. So again, feel free to add anything that took place at the previous discussion, because again, I wasn't here at that point, but if there's any questions on any of this, I'd be happy to answer them.
Anybody have any questions for Charlie from the commission?
Just to clarify, where would South Wesley Street start? At the corner of city limits, north of the
No,
church?
so and that where that red line is, it's not quite there. So on the west side of the road, you see there's 2 single-family dwellings there. It would actually be a little bit south of there is actually where it would start. So
Okay,
I had to kind of go back to and go to the east and kind of see where that north-south breakdown typically is. And I don't remember the exact feet, but we're going to match that with where South Y turns into North Y. We would go to that point and just, go over here in this area. So they had mapped up.
okay. Thank you.
Any other commission members here real quick? Tim, is this what you're here for to talk about or hear about this one? No, you already covered the law. Perfect. I was giving you one last
He wanted
chance.
to name it Phillips Corners Road.
I mean, that's I wasn't sure. Like PS Farms Road or.
Oh.
All right, any other commission members here have a question on this, comment?
Hey, this is Erin. I don't have a comment. I'm just going to recuse myself from the vote as it involves my address.
Perfect. Misty?
I was just going to say, when we talked about it in the past, I don't recall there being particularly strong feelings about it or a particular preference on direction. I think that the proposal makes a lot of sense for a name, Wesley Street.
Perfect. So Charlie, we're just making a recommendation here.
Yep.
And then that goes to council.
Correct.
Okay. Everyone's clear on that. If there's no further discussion, I'm not opposed to a motion.
I make a motion that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend the name Wesley Street to the City Council.
Perfect. We have a first. We have a second.
Second.
All. Okay, first and second. Any further discussion? Courtney?
Bob Ormsby,
He said yes. All right.
Josh Rabe,
Yes.
Misty Soldier,
Yes.
Al Ferris,
Yes,
Becky Needle. Yes.
Perfect. Moving on to agenda item the annual report for 2020, not 2019. Charlie, you want to run us through this?
Yeah,
thing?
quick summary on this one. First of all, I commend everybody on your attendance this year. It was really great to see some really good attendance across the board on this. So a good job to everybody on that. Just in summary, there was 42 items which the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed last year. You did have all 12 of your meetings. There wasn't any meeting that we skipped for lack of a quorum. So there was an abundance of items that were in front of you last year, and for the most part, everything that went to council did end up concurring with the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation. Going back to the attendance, I think Zoom probably helped out a lot with that. That's something that has made everybody just be a little bit more flexible on what we can offer in attendance wise. Going forward, I think even when COVID hopefully at some point is no longer a big thing anymore, we'll probably still continue to use Zoom just because that seems to work really, really well.
Agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just so you know, yeah, we'll plan on doing that hopefully in the future. But go through that report. If there's any particular questions on any of the items, I'd be happy to answer them. But and then going back, I think the biggest thing we did last year was a comprehensive plan, and the commission taking 4 meetings to go through that before we finally approved it. recommended it for approval was great. Some great dialogue, some good input, and some big changes that were made through that process. So we're still working through the code updates right now. We actually just scheduled another meeting with our consultant on that to go through some stuff and then get a timeline. So hopefully at your next meeting, we'll kind of have a better idea of timeline of when that's going to come forward to the commission for some review. So any questions on the report, I'd be happy to answer them.
You had a great year. Hopefully this year's even busier. Great. So now we reviewed it. We just have to approve it now, correct?
Yes, and this isn't something that you recommend for approval. This is something that you take full responsibility for. So
I might need more
big,
time.
I know, big thing.
Is this a roll call vote or
I don't think it needs to be a roll call vote. We can just do voice
just
vote.
do it? All right. Unless anybody has anything to pipe in here, we will take a vote on approval of the annual report. All those in favor of approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission annual report for 2020, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Perfect. Now on to agenda item 6E, election of officers for 2021. Charlie, you want to run us through your procedure here?
Yep,
or what you're thinking?
I'll hand this over to you really quick, but section 23.05.1 of the city code, as well as section 3 of the rules and regulations require that the commission shall choose annually at its first regular meeting one of its members to act as chair and another to act as vice chair. So as this is the first meeting of 2021, that's what we are asking you to do. The memo did include a list of previous chairs and vice chairs.
I want to know who this Alan Ferris is from, from the 80s.
Yeah.
Is that you?
Did you just knock it down at a certain point, like in the 90s? Just ready to go now?
Oh man,
I like it. That was awesome.
is that you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
even want to know that you were on this commission before I was born.
Wow. Oh, I'm wounded, Charlie.
Oh. So, that being
But a good
said,
run.
so this is where we have an election. Now, traditionally, we've done a 2-year stint as the officers. Misty's been the vice chair for the last 2 years, and traditionally, we have that person move into the chair role, as long as you're not opposed to that in any way whatsoever.
No, I'd be honored to do that.
Perfect. So then, try to have a formal motion, or do we just kind of all?
Yeah, I
agree here?
think you open it up for nominations. If there's a nomination, close nominations, and if you want to do both chair and vice chair together, if you want to do them separately, that's fine. Whenever works best.
So together or separate? You make the call.
Do it separate. It's probably just a little bit
All
cleaner to
right,
everybody.
let's
So,
deal with chair for right now.
yeah, so open up nominations, take nominations, close nominations, both.
Man, we're gonna get real official here. I like it. I would, unless anybody else has any further discussion on chairperson. Al? it's
No,
your
I would like
opportunity.
I would formally nominate Misty Solwich as chair.
Perfect. I would am I allowed to second it running, or am I still allowed to do that? That's fine. I would second it very, very much. We have a first and a second. Is that how it goes? You vote on it now?
Go for it.
Perfect. I think, Courtney, you're supposed to do this, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's do it.
You know what we're doing.
All right, Al Ferris,
Yes.
Aaron Freeberg,
Yes.
yes. Bob Ormsby,
2 thumbs up if I.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
Jeff Ray.
Yes.
I don't, do
No.
Upstairs.
Yeah, we can't let her say no. We have to rope it in right here. All right, congratulations, Missy.
Yay,
This is
exciting.
gonna be all the fun.
Big shoes to fill.
Oh, thank you. I'm not wearing Crocs today, so we're doing good. So we'll formally close that, and now discussion for the vice chair. I do know that Joe Butler emailed both Charlie and I to say that in no way, shape, or form would he like to do. It's just, again, he's at a point where it's just kids and work and all that. It's tough to do that type of thing. And I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts or feelings. Bob, you've been up here before. Al, you've been up here before. I've been up here. My thoughts would be, might be nice to grab someone that hasn't done it yet, if anybody has any feelings.
Are you ready for nominations?
Absolutely. If you
I'd like to
want.
nominate Sarah Ritchie for vice chair.
I like that one. I do happen to know that Charlie did talk to Sarah about that.
Yes, I reached out to Sarah today just if there was ever a nomination for her because I knew she's one of the ones that haven't been at a position and she wasn't gonna be here today. And she said that she would accept, so.
Okay,
To be
good.
clear, her not being here today is not a direct correlation with the conversation we
Yeah.
had. Yeah.
I'll second that.
Becky will second that. Bob, Aaron, anybody got any further discussion on the Zoom call there? You guys good?
That's great.
Perfect. Well, since we have that, Courtney, we'll take it from here with you.
Aaron Freeberg,
Yes.
Becky Needles. Yes. Bob Ormsby,
That was a yes. He's muted.
Josh Reed,
Yes.
Misty Solowitz,
Yes.
Al Ferris.
Yes,
Perfect. Congratulations, Sarah. Okay, well, there you go. Officers for the next 2 years here, probably.
Officially won.
Officially won. See how it goes. All right, comments? Anybody have any comments that are not on the agenda that they'd like to share? Charlie, you want to start? Do you have any?
Just the reports that were on there, the year-end report, well, it's December report, but that by way is the year-end report, pretty good year. We got to 200 buildings when this was right at the end of it, which was great. Wish we could have got over 200, but I know 200, I think, was based off the data that we have the 9th highest year for total permits, and I think we were also the 4th highest year for new dwellings in the community. And that's records we have going back to 1958. So really good year on that stuff. And as you said, with the items, but hopefully next year will be even better and we can hopefully break that record. I think 225 was the most permits we've ever done. So internally, we've already got a goal of what we're going to do. So.
I think it's awesome. And I just appreciate how much effort you guys put into that and pride of reaching trivial numbers and setting goals, right? It means a lot to this community, I think. And, you know, the years I've been out here, it's pretty amazing to see how far we've come. And
Yeah,
so
big stuff.
I love it. Everything about it. Good job, Charlie. Courtney. You don't have to tell Tim we said good job. Anybody else have any comments?
Really quick, the only other thing I'll add is, and Becky's term is up here, and I know Becky and I had the discussion. She's going to eventually be off the Planning and Zoning Commission with this term. We do allow by code for an additional 6 months after that. So we're in the process of trying to find a person to fill her position. And once we get that, then we'll make that transition. But until we do, she's going to be here for a little bit probably. So.
Yeah, I'll stay through June or whatever.
So with that, if anybody knows of anybody who would be interested to serve, please let them know to apply. With gender balance rules, we do most likely have to go with a female. So female candidates would be preferred. Of course, we don't have to if we can't get anybody. Or if the only candidate we have to fill the role is a male, then we can get somebody.
No, it's good. Becky, I think good for you. Maybe not.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah. Good for me, maybe a little more free time, I don't know.
That's awesome. Thank you.
So, yeah, no, it's been, I've been really working on it, learned a lot, so.
Good. This is a good learning experience for sure. All right, that being said, we're good. Anything else? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
Becky is first.
I'll second that.
Becky is second. All those in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Any opposed? No. Hey guys.